everfm.com or call 07811 659 364. That's 07811 659 364. Serving the community, 102.5 Eva FM.
Okay, people, we are back live on Eva FM 102.5, and we are also live on our Facebook and YouTube channel. So if you can see us, please let us know. Give me a text to say you can hear us loud and clear and everything is working really, really good. Okay, so I'm going to bring my guest here, right here. He's here. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, the Yanga Unplugged himself. How are you doing?
Hey, VJ, thanks a lot. I'm doing good. Hey, everyone, I'm Premal Patel. Everyone calls me Prem for short. And I'm the author of Yanga Unplugged, which is all about your actions nourish growth ambitions.
Okay, wow. It's fantastic having you in the studio. It's been nearly 1 month since we've been planning this whole trip and you coming here and talking about your new book.
That's right. You know, we launched it a month ago, soft launched, and that's when we spoke. I remember that. And, you know, I thought, look, I've got to get onto your radio station. I've got to do something for you and the listeners and bring something new, a bit of a new flavor in terms of the book. So, yeah, I'm delighted to be here.
No, thank you for coming all the way from London. We've had a great lunch. And we've had a great conversation as well for the last few hours. And it's been fantastic just getting to know you. And what's kind of happening behind Yanga Unplugged?
Yeah, you know, I think VJ, you and I got a lot in common. You know, with a lot of other listeners, probably. You know, we
definitely
Yanga Unplugged. Yeah, in a snapshot is a book I've been thinking about for a few years now. Okay. I wanted to launch it about 3 years ago. Okay.
So, but before we even get into that, what I really want to talk to you about, Yanga Unplugged. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Your actions nourish growth ambitions. I'm handing it over to you, Premal Patel, and you can tell the listeners exactly what Yanga Unplugged means.
Sure. Okay. So Yanga Unplugged is, well, Yanga means having resilience, strong self-belief, self-confidence, having an assertive attitude, and someone who is a go-getter and takes actions. I was looking for a word that encapsulated all of those things, and I found that word in West Africa.
Wow. So Yanga is, in fact, a West African word.
It is. They use it in West African countries. It's a real word. Okay. And it actually encapsulates all of those things I just said.
So what's the exact meaning of Yanga?
So Yanga is all about having resilience, a strong mental mind, strong self-belief and self-confidence, and having that assertive, positive attitude.
Okay. No, that's what I'm loving so far. What I really love is the African connection.
That's right.
Because EVA is East African Voice Association, and we cover all of Africa and many throughout the world. But yeah, I love that. Yeah. So what made you come about creating or writing a book for resilience and ambition and growth? How did this happen? And we're going to take a bit of a snapshot and a journey of the book, not giving too much away. But yeah, how did this process start and what made you create this book? Let us know.
Yeah. So look, the book, I've been wanting to write about resilience and strong will and strong self-belief for a long time. And it comes back to sort of my younger days and going back to my father, grandfather, and sort of the resilience and the strength of mind that they needed when they had to face some really big challenges and they had to make some important choices. You know, we could talk about some of those a little bit later, but as you go through, all of us in life are going through and facing a lot of perils and disruption and change. And it's hard to manage all of that, but you need resilience. You need a resilient mindset, a growth mindset to get through that in a very positive way without feeling stressed and without feeling anxious or all the other negative things people feel.
Absolutely. I think in today's era, we are under a lot of pressure, the stresses, everything's going on a lot of the time. So just to give the listeners a bit of a snapshot, what is your background in terms of your career? Because I don't want to say anything. When I read your bio and some of the people who you've worked with, it was like, wow, I need to hear your story.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. So look, my bio and career, I've had a 30 years, my career spanned 30 years in the corporate world. I worked across 3 continents. worked for some of the biggest global brands out there, managed teams of 200 plus down to about 5.
Wow.
And,
amazing.
And across multi countries, right? I had teams I never met at one point. So my career has spanned, and it's been a squiggly career. I'll call it a squiggly career. It's not a linear line where I just followed. I started off as a banker, and my family thought I was going to be a banker for 40 years and I'd retire, but I gave that up after about 5 years because I got bored of it. Right.
Okay.
So, but that's generally where it is. But the story goes right back to Kenya and East Africa, where my family are from. And that's where the story and the book starts, because there's some important decisions that got taken there that affected my life.
Absolutely. So just to name a few companies that you've worked for: Visa, American Express. You were part of the whole Nectar marketing kind of branding that went out there. So that's huge. You've been in Dubai Middle East for many years. I know people say they don't like to blow their own trumpet, but I'll blow yours for you, Premal.
Yeah, thank you for that.
No, but I think it's really important to give an idea, because it's very important for people to understand what you've done and how successful you've been in the corporate environment. And now you've kind of built your own business and your own entrepreneur, but also the whole thing going back to East Africa. Start me off from there then.
Let me start with East Africa. So listen, I'll go back to my grandfather. My grandfather worked for Barclays Bank for 45 years. Wow. Imagine, right? Wow. One career, one company.
Yes.
And he was a firm believer that's the way you had to go.
Yeah.
Right. And my father was in Standard Bank. So banking was in our DNA. So when I graduated, I joined a bank. So that was a big tick for the family, because my grandfather was delighted that I joined a bank. And in fact, he gave me the biggest hug that day when he found out I got the job, and said, right, you stick to this job. This is what you should do right the way through to your pension, right? Until you collect your pension. That's what he thought. But the East African connection has been quite a tough one, for me, my family, because back in 1970, my father passed away there when I was 10 months old in a tragic car accident.
Oh, no.
And I never met him. I never, talked to him. But my grandfather was about to retire, go back to India. He had his whole life planned out in his retirement. But unfortunately, he had to pivot and disrupt his world to look after me, 10 months, my sister, 2.5, and my mom, who was widowed at the age of 22.
Okay.
And then we came to London.
Wow. And what year was that?
So that was in 71.
71.
So in June 71, we came here. So I was 2 years old.
And so you come from a single parent background family.
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So all the struggles that came with that, your
100%.
grandfather.
Yeah. So my father was never there, but my grandfather sort of stepped in.
Yes.
He was my quasi father, but a slightly different father figure, because he was a different generation.
Yes.
Right? Very strict, disciplined, regimented, but a really humble, nice, caring guy, but yeah, my mom was, sometimes mom and dad, and she was a real rock, very, very strong-minded woman, who carried on, with a very young family.
Okay. And have you added that element into the book and Yanga Unplugged and your journey and your life story within there?
I have, because there were critical decisions, and Yanga Unplugged is about making choices, and it's about taking action. And the key thing that my grandfather had to do was take action and make some important choices for the future of, his grandchildren, us, and my mom, and he withheld what he wanted to do in life in order for us to give us a life. So that's a big choice. That's a big decision for people to make, that I want to give up what I need and what my retirement, and I'm going to go and carry on working in the UK for another 10 years. Because in Nairobi at that time, you retired at 55.
Okay.
So he got a transfer from his bank to the UK, so he could retire at 65.
Okay.
So he gave up his 10 years at least.
That sacrifice he made for the better of family.
Yeah. And my father's ambition was always to get his kids educated in the UK, as much as he could. And that's why he was going to get a transfer to the UK before he died, and before he passed away. So we were going to actually move to London 3 months after. He died in March, but June, we had planned to move to London.
So decision making, how is Yanga Unplugged going to help people when they read your story and your journey about decision making?
Yeah.
Where does that come into it?
So decision making is part of all of our lives, right? We have to make decisions all day long, every day. You know, what are we going to eat today for dinner? Becomes a really monstrous decision sometimes, because now everyone has choices. Someone wants vegan food, someone wants vegetarian food, or someone wants, like, you know, non-veg, whatever. It's never that easy. When we were younger, we got dinner, and when we asked, hey, what's for dinner? It was like, it's dinner.
It's dinner.
Right. Eat what's there, and you don't get off the table until you've eaten it. Right?
Absolutely.
Now there's too many choices. So decision making becomes harder. It's a harder thing today.
Yes.
And what seems to be happening is that people procrastinate. They don't want to make decisions. So they say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll take the action tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. You have to make decisions. With decisions, you move forward, you take action. And the most successful people out there, they are decisive people. We talked about it earlier.
Absolutely.
Right?
This is why I had to ask
100%.
you. Yeah.
They know whether it's right or wrong, they will make a decision. And they'll live and die by that decision, even if it's wrong.
So what do you think has made people very undecisive in this generation? And why are people having that effect? Because you telling your story to others via Yanga Unplugged, I've got the book just here. It's right in front of me. What's made you take that leap and say, right, I need to tell people, I want to help people make that life better, be more ambitious, and get their goal?
Yeah. So I'm known as a very decisive person.
Okay.
Right? And a guy who takes action. I've had to do it from a very young age. And what I've done is I've made good decisions. I've made really bad decisions. Right. And even up until this year, I'm, 56 years old, and I still make some bad decisions. Okay. Right. But you have to make decisions. So part of the thing that's happening now in the world is there's three things that affects everybody. We all have choices, right? We have choices to make. Do I get out of bed today? Do I make my bed today? Do I not make my bed? Am I going to have breakfast? There's so many choices, right? Then there's the chances. We all have chances to take, whether it's a career chance, whether it's whatever we're going to do. Do I follow my passion, not follow my passion? It's all about chance, right? And the final thing is change. Just think about how much change you have to cope with every single day. And the pressure of managing that change is becoming faster and even more intense, mainly due to the introduction of new technology, right? We're all consuming so much technology and media and social media. It's becoming confusing, it's becoming disruptive, and now everyone's trying to compare it to others, right? It becomes
overwhelmed.
100%. Yeah. What do? I don't want to embarrass my family. I don't want to embarrass my friends. Am I behaving the right way? Do I look good? Do I not look good? Am I speaking the right way? All of these choices become challenge to change. And in the corporate world, the leaders now are under immense pressure to change at pace, but they don't have enough resources and support to do that. And that's causing a lot of pressure at the top.
Wow. And that's from your experience and what you've seen, and you're telling the people exactly how it is.
Yeah, look, Yanga Unplugged, I've not held anything back in this book.
That's good.
Everybody, if you want to read this book, there's some real home truths in there. Things that have worked well for me, things that have not worked well for me, where I've made massive mistakes and errors, both personal and professional. So I'm putting it all out there in the book.
You mentioned this thing about making mistakes and sometimes not making the right decisions or whatever it is. How do you move on? How do you justify moving on? Or how can you help from say, okay, I've made this bad decision. It is what it is. How do we move on and be successful after that? We often hear about lots of entrepreneurs saying, I'll try a million things. If one thing happens, I'm successful.
That's right.
So what's helped you over time, and what is in Yanga Unplugged that you can really tell people? It doesn't matter if you've made a mistake, you can move on. What is one of the what do you say? I know we want people to get the book, but it's something.
I'm gonna actually share some key things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You have to stop overthinking. Right, mistakes are gonna happen. You're never going to get things 100% perfect all of the time. And I live by one principle. You cannot please 100% of the people all of the time. But if you please 80% of the people most of the time, you're doing okay, right? And with decisions and with what I've written in the book, you have to move forward by stop overthinking.
Yes.
If you overthink the errors you've made, you'll be thinking forever, right? You don't get clarity from thinking, you get clarity from doing. So you have to keep moving. And it's all about how you reframe the way you think about the errors, the bad decisions, the good decisions, and you keep moving forward, because you have to keep moving forward. That's the way people progress.
Absolutely. I think what you've just said there is about the overthinking, and it just keeps going round. How do you manage to control the mind? Because we know the mind, we had this conversation. That's and right. The mind.
We did.
Come on, then I'm going to let you expand. I'm letting you do the talking, Premal, because I think it comes from somebody like yourself who's been there, been through that journey, had that wave of success, and now has decided, right, I want to change. I'm going to move to the next way, you know, and I want to help people. I want to tell people this journey. So,
So, look, I'll take it back a few years. You know, for many years in my sort of early career, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to do everything to please everyone, my boss, my family, everybody, right? So whatever I did, I tried to please other people, right? And that's one way of doing things, but that doesn't help with making decisions for yourself.
Okay.
So when I started making decisions for myself, I started thinking, and I used to overthink then, what will that person think? What will that person say? What's their opinion? What if they say this? There's a fear of the result and the outcome. And it was only when I reframed the way I started thinking, and I reframed it by re-looking at the issues and the opportunities and the challenges in my brain, thinking, you know what, it's happened. What can I do about that now? There's nothing I can do about yesterday or the last hour or last week. What I can do is change the way I think about things in the next minute, the next hour, the next day, moving forward. And that's how I started rethinking about the poor decisions that I made.
Okay.
Because I learned from those, and I said, okay, I don't want to keep making the same, but you know, sometimes I make the same mistakes. It's natural. We're human. And sometimes it's in your character. You just do, right? And some things take longer to learn, but are you learning? What are you learning as you move it forward? And that's a reframe of how you think about some of the issues and the challenges.
Wow. So this whole journey you've been on, you've put it on you said 3 years ago, the journey started.
That's right.
Over that 3 years, I believe at one point you kind of said to yourself, I'm not going to do this. So what made you come back and says, this year, I'm going to get this out there?
Sure. So everything I've written about in Yanga Unplugged, the things I'm saying to people don't do, I did it. I actually did it 3 years ago, and even before that, right? So these are real life experiences. 3 years ago, I started writing the book, and it was a pet passion of mine. I had a busy corporate job, no time. In the middle of the night, I'd be writing stuff, you know, and on scraps of paper. And I wrote about half the book, and it was all the stuff in my head through journaling, and pulled it all together. At that moment, I thought, right, I want to share what I'm doing with a few folks. So I did. And then, you know, people started having an opinion on what I had written, my idea. They made a judgment. They said the idea was not a good one. You know, why do you want to do this? And it started putting some fear into my brain and in my mind, thinking, should I do this or not? So I stopped. Okay. And for a whole year, I stopped writing.
No way.
And it stifled my creativity, right? Because it was in my mind, but I was thinking, I'm not doing this because others have said maybe this is not a good idea. Anyway, it was only last year, 2024, quarter four, I bumped into an old friend of mine who's known for 30 odd years, hadn't met him for about, let's say 10 years. He had also gone through some sort of troubled times himself and really changed his life completely. And he asked me about the book, and he says, what's happened to that project? And I said, I'll put it away. Don't worry. Let's not talk about it. He goes, no. He goes, absolutely not. He says, you were so driven to do it. Why have you stopped? And then I told him the reasons. And he says, that is completely a stupid thing to do because it's your ambition. You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about everyone else. He encouraged me to get it out again, send him stuff. He's a publisher. And basically, I got the encouragement. So it goes back to, if you surround yourself with positive energy drivers and positive influences, you can achieve anything. If you have energy drainers around you, you're not going to achieve anything. And sometimes that's a hard decision to make because you have to cut some of that toxic energy away from your life in order to move forward. And I write about that in the book, about how that is such an important decision to make, but a very difficult one.
Wow. I'm listening to you and you've touched on some very, very important things where people go through in life. A lot of people stop what they're doing because what people tell them.
That's right.
You know, and the feedback they're getting from people or something that they wish to do because of their passion, following their passion or their ambition, and just because of how others feel, they stop what they're doing. And that really affects well-being, right?
100%.
But before we go into well-being, you know, I'm fascinated. Listeners, I know we've got a camera here, but I'm going to explain to you. There is a briefcase here in this room. And in the briefcase, there are lots of books. I call it a briefcase. It's probably a suitcase, right? Yeah. And there are lots of books. It's a very stylish suitcase. We'll mention the name. What's the brand of this?
It's a Samsonite bag.
Samsonite bag. It looks retro. It looks beautiful. There's a load of books here. So what I said to Premal was, I said, are we going to do any book giveaways? And he looked at me and he says, that's a great idea. So we're going to give away 5 books. 5 of these books we're going to give away today on the show. All you got to do is contact Eva FM on whatever platform possible. If you've got my number, you can WhatsApp me. The first, as many numbers as we get, we're going to go through, and potentially when we're coming towards the end, we're going to put all these names together and we're going to pick 5. And Premal will pick 5. We're going to keep it really simple because we don't want to make things difficult. And he's going to sit here and sign every single one to them 5 people. So just message us 5 free giveaway books. Remember, 5 of these are going to be given away. Just get in contact with us, message us, and then we can take it from there. Okay. We're going to move on. We've got 5 minutes before we go into the commercials.
Sure.
So we spoke about well-being and this positive and negative energy around us, people drainers, people that bring us out in life, great people around you. Tell us a little bit more. Delve into that.
Yeah, so it's not just people who are energy drainers, right? It could be your other, your environment, your work environment.
Absolutely. Sorry, my bad there. Not just people.
Nowadays, hybrid working becomes an energy drainer.
Yes.
Right? You don't meet people, so you then become a bit more closed in that social interaction. And then you think, oh my God, do I want to go to the office? It's a waste of time. Don't like the commute. All of this becomes energy draining because you're overthinking it, right? So, and it all has an impact on your well-being. Whether people say it does or not, it absolutely does, 100%. Because when you overthink and when you start thinking too many things and too many situations and what will that person say? Oh, I've got a report to write. What will happen if I'm late? What if I don't do this presentation? Oh my God, I haven't done 50 slides, in presentations and stuff. All of that has a pressure point in the brain.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, it all goes back to take a step back and just think, what is the worst that's going to happen? Right? Is someone is this a matter of life or death? Because that's the worst, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
My family went through that back in the, in 1970. That was a matter of life or death. They had to make some big choices, right?
Big choices.
When my father passed away. But most things today, we worry about nothing. 90% of the things we worry about never actually happen.
Never actually happen.
90% of the things people worry about never actually happen, but you worry yourself sick through it. So how do you turn that worry into acceptance? Actually, okay, I didn't do well in that presentation. Okay, fine. what's the worst that's going to happen? Most people don't get fired for doing a bad presentation, right?
Of course not.
But people worry themselves in the corporate world now because there's so much pressure on job security. AI coming in and taking over a lot of jobs that are not going to be there now. They'll wipe out certain jobs and capabilities, within companies. So it's how do you reinvent yourself and how do you stay ahead of the game, right? And learn through that. So, but, worry is just the worst thing. But most people worry.
Worry. We all worry. It's how do we control the worry element?
Right. Yeah.
And is this what Yanga Unplugged teaching you techniques around,
100%. showing
you techniques around what has helped and proven to help you in your journey, but also the people you've met?
Yeah. Being a people pleaser many years ago, I used to worry about everything. What will people say? What will they do? How will they act? What will I do? And I used to worry myself, couldn't sleep, all that kind of stuff, right? It's just the usual things when you're worried. I don't worry about anything today because I just accept the situation as the situation. It's meant to be. If something didn't work, that's meant to be. That's the moment that you're living in. You can't do anything about the past. You can't do anything about tomorrow. You can only do something about today, in the moment. That's your time. And whatever, we were meant to be here today. That was it, right? But you cannot worry about stuff, but we all do because we have families.
Premal, we're in about 40 seconds. We're going to go into a commercial break for 3 minutes. I hope all the listeners are enjoying this conversation because it's not very often we have people in the studio motivating and talking like this who has been traveled around the world. So it's fabulous. Stay touch. We're going to carry on this conversation when we come back from the commercials, and we're going to talk to you and we're going to reveal the 5 book winners. And you know what? There's so much more to be unplugged on today's conversation, especially Yanga. We've got Premal Patel. So please stay on. We're going to come back straight after these commercials. Eva FM.
EAVA. Sharing the richness of cultures. This is Eva FM.
I'm here with something major for all Caribbean crew. Digicel already makes it super easy to send a mobile recharge to family back home. But now they've made it even better. 30% off your next top-up when you use promo code LOVE30. That means more credit, more data, more love for your peeps in the Caribbean. Just go to topup.digitalgroup.com or grab the Digicel International app. Use code LOVE30 and show your people some love, no matter the miles.
Multilingual Radio Eva serves the community on 102.5 FM. Reach out to the diverse communities of Leicester via your local multilingual radio, Eva FM. For advertising and sponsorship, email sales@evafm.com.
Serving the community. 102.5 Eva FM.
Are you ready to put yourself first? Celebrate your journey and reshape your destiny? If you're a purpose-driven professional, eager to harness the transformative power of resilience, let me introduce you to Yanga Unplugged by Premal Patel. This isn't just a book, it's a powerful message that connects daily struggles with triumphs. Don't miss out. Grab your copy of Yanga Unplugged today at your favorite bookstore or online at Amazon, Apple Books, or Barnes & Noble. Yanga Unplugged. Your actions nourish growth ambitions.
Serving the community 24 hours a day. Eva FM.
Cricket Cities is here in Leicester, and it's not just about cricket, it's about building something meaningful with our communities. This year, we're listening first. Your hopes, challenges, and ideas. With Eva FM and the Leicestershire and Rutland Cricket Foundation will be out and about, holding conversations, co-creating visions, and showing what's possible when sport brings people together. Have you got an idea, or do you want to get involved? Reach out to Eva FM or the Leicestershire and Rutland Cricket Foundation today. Contact us on sales@evafm.com and let's make it happen together.
The voice of Leicester, sharing the richness of cultures. This is Eva FM.
Eva FM is a multilingual radio station serving the diverse communities of Leicester on 102.5 FM. For advertising and sponsorship, email sales@evafm.com or call 07811 659 364. That's 07811 659 364. Serving the community, 102.5 Eva FM.
Okay, welcome back to Eva FM 102.5. It is Vij right here. We are joined with Premal Patel, and he is talking about his new book release, Yanga Unplugged. Thank you for joining us back. We've had an amazing conversation. We've talking about Premal's journey, well, a little bit of his journey so far, and we've also spoken about setbacks, worrying, the mind. And this one here, we're coming into the second half of the show. So I want to talk about ambition, because the slogan for the book is your actions nourish growth ambitions. So tell me, if somebody has an ambition or a dream, how do they start? Where do they go? Where do they begin? How do they set their mindset? How do they get their mindset together to achieve that goal or ambition and move forward in life?
I knew you were going to ask me a hard question. Let me just start with a bit of insight. About 80% of the people out there, we all have ambitions.
Yes.
80% of us will never achieve our ambition.
Wow.
Right? It's
that high?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Really
right?
high?
Yeah, because an ambition, sort of, people have dreams.
Yes.
And then you turn it into an ambition.
Absolutely.
A dream without action, you never achieve your ambition. Right. So we might want to do some big things in our lives, like I want to climb Mount Everest or whatever it's going to be. But you have to take action. You have to train. You have to go through some hard graft to get there. Most people do not put that effort in because they get caught up in the day-to-day of their lives. I've got a job. I've got a 9 to 5. I can't do this. I can't go training in the evening. I've got to cook dinner. I've got to look after the kids. The weekends I've got to be at home. I've got to do all of this stuff. So, but ambition is one of those things that can only be done if you take action. And Yanga Unplugged is about you. That's why it's your actions. What actions do you need to take? And there might be some hard ones and hard decisions to go with it, but what actions do you need to take to achieve your ambition? It's never too late to achieve your ambition. One of my ambitions, and this is just one, was to write this book, to get this story out. And in fact, there's a lot more of the history and from my roots and ancestors within this book that that I'm bringing out. But I wanted to do this primarily to live my father's dream. Right? Because I don't know what his dream was, but I had it in my head. I just assumed, and I started making things up. And I have this inner voice, his voice, saying this is the right thing to do. And I wanted to get it out there. And it took me 56 years to get it done.
Wow.
Right? It's taken me a while. But it wasn't my time before. It was my time to do it now and get it in.
And is it ever too late?
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
No. And I prime example, again, I live my own experience. 30-year corporate career. I left my job last December, right? I left my job in December the 20th last year. And
so it's not even been 12 months.
It's not even been 12 months. No, it's not been 12 months. I started my new business on the 15th of Jan. And, I had a really nice corporate career. It was a good number, but we had a really good financial result last year of the business. It was the right time to go. It's better if you're going to leave when the business is on a high, right? And I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do this. Otherwise, I'll just cruise along in a corporate job for the next 10 years until I retire. And then I'm not sure what I will do. I thrive off work. I thrive off creating ideas and moving forward with things. This was an idea. I had to bring it to life. And
so you didn't want to sit at home and watch the soaps on TV, daytime soaps on TV.
I mean, that's one ambition. Maybe some people have that ambition, right? Because people work hard. Everyone's working round the clock. It's tough right now, and it's been tough for years.
So what made that click happen? So for instance, you saying you left that job, your corporate job, which was giving you or everything you wanted, wealth-wise, monetary-wise, you were there, but something in your mind was like, I want to do something different. What made you take that step? What was the trigger that made you say, right, the action element, not the thinking element, because we all sit there and think, I want to do this. And you actually think it through in your mind, but you just,
that's right.
It's the action element.
Yeah.
So like you want to go to the gym, or you just never go. You see yourself in the gym, or you see yourself doing this, or you see yourself doing the action, but you just don't action it. How can you make that?
Sure. And is it just touching on that? And I'll come to how, right, in a second. But imagine you only need 20 minutes of exercise a day, really, to stay physically fit.
100%.
And imagine how hard it is to find that 20 minutes. Because we all make excuses, right? And we can't find 20 minutes, you know, in the day, 24 hours. And 20 minutes is nothing. We still can't find it because we make excuses in our mind. We make excuses in our own that, oh, I'm tired, or I can't, I've got to do some stuff. I've got to sit at home, and then we'll binge watch TV for a while, right? So I think the how is what really drove me. I mean, I've always been an action guy. I've always taken action, and I never sit still. And, you know, from the age of 11, I was working in Wembley Market, you know, on a Sunday morning, getting up at 7, right? So I've always been doing stuff. So it's been in my DNA to keep moving, keep thinking about new ideas. Not always great. Sometimes I think about a lot of ideas and I spread myself thin, right? And that doesn't work either. Then you have to really focus what you're going to do. But the how came in a conversation I had. I had a professional coach who I went through, because leading a company, you know, across multi-markets, it's a lonely place. Who do you talk to when you're facing immense pressure from the board? Deliver more with less people, less financial resource. A lot of companies are facing that. A lot of managers are facing that now, you know, and I was talking to my coach, and she basically said, look, you have to keep a list of just things you're going to do and put the action list down, write it down. Don't type it. Most people will type it on their phone or whatever, and then it doesn't stick. Get a notepad, write it down. When you write, you slow down. Your mind slows down because you're writing, and it ingrains into your brain the actions you write down. When we're typing, it's a big difference. There's a big dynamic difference there. When you're typing, you're so used to typing on the phone or a laptop, it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick.
Is that why I personally have so many to-do lists on my phone and computer, but the one on my desk is the one that actually actions out and gets done?
And is that the one you write down?
Yeah.
Right. It's a massive difference in the way people think and the way they behave when you write things down.
I've got the best spreadsheet. You know, it's great.
I hate spreadsheets, but but
it's great. It's got all the filters on there and to do and the color coordinated. But the one on the table actually works for me.
And why?
I don't know. I've never asked. I've just said, you know, and you've answered it today. So you actually slow down, do you?
When you actually write, and I'd ask everyone to maybe try it out. Get a piece of paper and write down 5 things you have to do in the next week. You'll write it as you write, because you're writing slower than you're typing.
And you're actually...
And it then starts processing in your brain, and it sticks in your brain.
Wow.
And you've made the effort to write.
Yes.
And it makes you more committed to getting that done.
So you said the word effort. Everything takes effort and energy. We had this whole conversation around effort and energy. Well, it was 2 things you said to me. What's the 2 things? And it was time and energy. Give us a little bit of an insight into time and energy, and why is it important?
Sure. 2 things you'll never get back in your life.
You'll never get back, listeners.
Right. You'll never get back is the time and the energy you invest.
Absolutely.
Right. So whatever you've done yesterday, you're never going to get that back. Whatever you did at midday today is done. Right. So, and the way I look at this is, where do you invest your energy? Right. A lot of people just keep going. And then they think, oh my God, where did I invest my energy and time? What did I do? If you think about energy like your monthly income, at the beginning of the month, you know you're going to get X amount income and you have X amount of energy for the month of, let's say, September now that we're in, right? Then as an income, you start budgeting. I've got to pay the utility bills, got to pay the car loan, got to pay, food, entertainment, whatever. Nobody ever budgets their energy and the amount of energy at 100%, where they're going to spend that during that month. Most people will spend it on things they think they've wasted their time on. Right?
Wow.
Because when you talk to a lot of people these days, is, oh yeah, I did that, but that was a waste of time. Oh, did that, didn't work, whatever else. Think about where you put your energy into more positive things and how you divide your energy. Now, we talked about it earlier, Vij, and this is an important one. We all spend time with people who waste our energy, right? Let's be real, right? Most of us. And, we sometimes think having a huge, big network is the right thing to do and talk to loads of people. And, but quite often lots of people will just suck the energy out of you, right? And there's people out there who will just drain you of the positive energy you have. So you have to make some very tough calls and decisions on who's around you that you are going to spend more of your positive energy on, and they're going to give you more positivity back.
Why do we spend time on people that are draining our energy? Why do we do that?
It's human nature, right? It goes back to human nature. We don't like to disappoint. We don't know what the outcome might be of making a choice of saying, okay, do you know what? I'm done with this individual or that team or that group who don't do anything for me. They're sucking the energy out of me, right? So, but people fear the outcome. They fear the consequence. What will they say? Will they talk to other people? And then does it go on to social media? To be honest, I go with an attitude of, who cares? Right? Who cares what other people think if they're not adding any value to your life?
So energy plays an important role. We need 100%. To start, what's the word? Being more, as we see our budget and our time we need to start adding that factor as well, the energy factor.
Because you think people run out of time so quickly. The 24 hours now, I mean, I'm sure we say every year, people probably said it now, is like, oh my God, is it already September?
Yes, I said it the other day.
Where's the 8-9 months gone?
Yeah.
Every year is going past faster and faster for whatever reason, because our lives are becoming so fast. You have to just put the brakes on and think, where do I want to spend my time, and with who, and how do I spend it?
Wow. Some difficult decisions.
Yeah. Hard decisions. You have to make hard decisions if you want to achieve that. It goes back to that path to ambition, right? You cannot achieve your ambitions. And maybe there's people out there who disagree, and I'm happy to have a debate on this thing at some point. But you cannot achieve ambitions unless you start by thinking about yourself first. Most people out there will say, if you think about yourself, then you're being selfish, because you should think about others. You should think about everybody else, the impact of what you're going to do on everyone else. And quite often you go through life thinking about everybody else. And that's when you become like people pleasers, right? But when you think about yourself, it's the most unselfish thing anybody can do.
Wow.
Because when you look after head and heart, you can help so many other people, and you bring the community up with you. It's a togetherness thing.
Wow.
But unless you have that in the head and heart sorted out, it's really hard for anyone to support other people.
That's fascinating what you've just said there, because you'd think it'd be the opposite, right? But in fact, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around, because when you really think about that, if you, are happy and with yourself and you're content and you're driving your passion and you're reaching your goals and you're working towards ambitions, you can take other people with you.
100. Yeah, because look, if you focus on yourself, you will be happy. Yeah. I mean, there's not like a measurement of happiness index or any of that, right? But why go through life if you are not happy and you don't have peace in your mind? Happiness and peace will help move you forward, help you achieve your ambitions, because when it says your actions nourishment is for your brain and your body.
Okay.
So when you're happy and you're at peace, you will sleep well, which is really important. If you want to achieve ambition and grow, you have to get good sleep. Without sleep and sleep deprivation, that becomes a massive issue on the stress and the anxiety people feel. You're tired, you can't think, and you can't actually act, and you can't deliver what you want to deliver and support other people because it's not going to help you. And then you go into how you grow as an individual, and growth comes from experiencing setbacks. Nobody grows unless you've been through some hard times.
Wow.
If you haven't been through all of us, whoever it is, we're all going to go through hard times.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Because it's human nature. You do. There's things that will happen. No matter where you think your life is in a perfect world, something will happen somewhere. Hard times are you lose your loved ones, right? It's tough. It's really hard to get over that at some point.
Definitely.
Or you get fired, or you get made redundant, or whatever it's going to be. Redundancy and getting fired is becoming more common these days because of AI and tech and everything else that's coming out there. There's a lot of jobs that will be displaced. People are going to go through hard times. How do you deal with that? You have to deal with it with a resilient mindset and a growth mindset.
Okay.
If you blame everyone else and you say, oh my God, this happened because of that person, or this happened because of that decision, whatever, you can't blame anyone. You've created that situation.
Really? So you should be held accountable to your actions.
We have to be accountable to ourselves. You have to take ownership for your own life. No one else is going to do it for you. No one's coming out there to save anyone. You have to save yourself.
Wow. And it's really deep. It's very deep what you're really talking about, and how can we move forward? So it starts within.
It starts within, because you can't help other people in the right way unless you feel you are in the good condition yourself.
Okay.
Right. So that's generally, but it's head and heart.
All right. So we've spoken about quite a lot. We've got about 10 minutes left. We said we're going to do this for an hour.
Sure.
And I do appreciate your time. You've traveled distance. You've spent a lot of time today. So one of the other things, you mentioned something about a coach. Do you think it's important to have a coach or a mentor, somebody around you that can help you through your journey, or just point out the different things around you that you probably don't see? How important is a coach?
Yeah. In today's world, very important.
Okay.
A coach and a mentor. So the difference is a mentor will help you with technical skills and technical expertise.
Okay. Mentor.
We need mentors, because now there's a lot more to learn with new technology and new advances in technology. People need to learn faster. So you have a mentor that can help you. A coach will help you unlock what you are already probably thinking or feeling inside, and it unlocks your own solutions, right? Through the right questioning technique and the right conversations. What a coach does is give you thinking space. So if you have an hour every month, you've got an hour of thinking time. Imagine right now, today, everyone's working. How much real thinking time do people have? Really thinking through problems, critically thinking about solutions and solving. You don't. People they're running at pace. They're not thinking, and a coach will help you reframe, reflect, and think. So when I say it's important to have a coach, it's important to have people you can talk to, people who will listen. Coaches actively listen. And that's the important thing. They say very little, and they will listen, and they'll ask you questions, and you solve your own solution. When you do that, again, it resonates in your brain and it sticks in your brain because you've solved the problem, not because somebody's told you to do something.
Yeah. I totally get that. That is so. It resonates with me because when I look back at what you're saying, me listening to you, I've got the headphones on and it's really going into me, and I hope it's going into the listeners. I can think of so many scenarios when that's happened.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to somebody and they've asked me a question and I've said, I've got it.
Right.
It's come to me. I know what the answer is,
Yeah.
And that's the difference between a coach and a mentor. It's something I never understood. I always said mentor, coach, or whatever. So they're very different.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference. You know, coach, a mentor is much more of a short-term solution, whereas a coach will help you reframe and rebuild who you are as a person long-term. You know, it's a longer journey.
So living in this fast-paced life that we have, it's nice to have a coach. How do you choose a coach?
So it goes back to chemistry. You know, people are out there. There's plenty of coaches
Where
out
do you
there.
meet them?
You know, you can get them online. You can Google it. You can see so many different places. You go to, people could come to you and maybe say, I need to talk to somebody. You might refer them to someone, right? And that becomes their sort of, coach. But where you find them, quite often they come through either, referrals from other people, or they are just people others know,
Absolutely.
and it all is around the chemistry. You have to know that you can talk to this person. There's a contract there between the coach and the coachee.
Wow.
Because there's confidentiality.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to trust this person, to be confidential, and to not say anything to anyone else, and to not tell you what to do. That's an important part of the transaction. If the coach is telling you what to do, they're a mentor, because a mentor will tell you how to do something. Most of us, we already have the solutions inside us.
Yes.
Coach just extracts that.
Yes, definitely.
It might take a bit of time, but you can do it from within.
And help you with that decision making, right?
Yeah.
And
if people are struggling, they're trying to find a coach or whatever, they can get in touch. I've got many people who are coaches who are out there. They're brilliant people, and they help with all sorts. And the thing about coaching, VJ, it's not just a one thing. Now you have a whole range, right? People are burnt out, so you have burnout recovery coaches. Now you have leadership coaches, business coaches. There's menopause coaches for women. There's mental health coaches for men. There's many, many different types of coaches.
No, this has been fascinating. My mind is spinning. It's going everywhere. I've got so many questions, but so many answers, so many things that I want to ask you. We've got just about 5 minutes left with you.
Ask me one of the hard questions. What's in your mind?
It's moving to the next stage. For me, it's always about, you reached a certain level, you had that growth element, then you got that maturity level, and it's picking it up to the next stage.
Yep.
How do we do this? How do we manage this in our minds? How do we manage, whether it's a personal thing or a career thing? We need to be able to pick ourselves up, because it's all good. How many times can you keep picking yourself up? It's hard work picking yourself up.
Really hard work.
And giving you that boost. When that rocket just goes up, it's how many times can you give yourself that boost? How do we manage this, and how do we do this?
So unfortunately, you have to keep picking yourself up every time you fall, right? Okay. You can't expect other people to pick you up, because when other people pick you up, you do not benefit that much. You might think you do, you don't. When you pick yourself up, you grow. So it's one of those things which everyone thinks, I need someone else to help me. I need somebody, because we all look for people, right, to help us.
Yes, we always do.
You have to be more self-sufficient these days, because that's life. Life's tough. Life's up. There's professional, personal, but from a personal perspective, you have to just think, I can do this. And there are techniques and tips and hints and tips. They're in the book. They're really quick. I've used them for years. They've helped me. They've helped me get through some really tough times.
Wow.
Even when I was at school being bullied like crazy, I used certain techniques. I didn't realize at that time, but it helped me get through, without having support from other people. And right the way through my career, it's been a navigation of, different worlds, different cultures, and you have to keep moving. And the way to look at it is, for me, look, it's, again, we talked about it. It's never too late to start something new. I'm 56. I just started my business this year in January, and this is just part of what I do. And I'm looking at the next 20 years, and I'm going to build something that is going to be meaningful for the world. starts off, VJ, you ask something, how do you do it? How do you pick yourself up? You have to know what your purpose is in life. I did a lot of soul searching about 2 years ago, and my purpose is to inspire and improve the quality of life of as many people as I can. And I realized that after talking to my coach for about 6 months.
No way.
And that's everything I do is about creating and building better human connections. And through human connections, we're going to win.
I love this. We can speak for another 2-3 hours, you know, just so the listeners are aware.
Yeah.
Premal came, we met in the car park at 12 o'clock. He pulled in and I pulled in. So look at the connection.
Meeting of minds there.
It was a meeting of minds. So 12 o'clock, we've been together for nearly 6.5 hours, and this conversation can carry on. We have just less than 2 minutes left. Yanga Unplugged, your actions nourish your actions nourish growth, ambition. I'm loving this. Just hearing the name of it makes me want to read the book, and I've kind of looked through the book very shortly, and it's fascinating. We're going to go, once we put this down, everyone that's messages, we're going to pick 5 names, and I'm going to put it, we're going to give you like the 5 books.
Give me the names and I'll do a personal message for everyone.
Definitely. Any final words? Are we going to see you in Leicester very soon?
100%. I've got a connection to Leicester now through family here, but also with you and Eva FM. There'll be a lot more that we'll do together. My last message for everyone, right? The world rewards people who act. They don't reward people who sit back. So act and just get on with it.
Wow, that was so beautifully said. So beautifully said. I've actually this whole thing's been fantastic, you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the conversation.
It's been we can carry on. We've got 30 seconds left. You're listening to Eva FM 102.5. Premal Patel, Yanga Unplugged. Your actions nourish growth, ambitions. It's been fascinating conversation. We've loved every minute of it. But remember, actions act. You know, get the book, get it, and open the whole new world. It'll be unplugged. Eva FM 102.5. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
EAVA. Sharing the richness of cultures. This is Eva FM.
Big up a set.